Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Audio Audacity Podcast. I'm your host, Mo Brooks. Oh, shit, let me get the volume together. Oh, shit, there we go. Technical difficulties early on, but it's shit like that happens.
Everybody else again.
It happens. Things like that happen. I want to thank everybody for joining in today. We have an episode talking about realtor. We have I wouldn't say world famous, but she's very famous to me.
In my world. Does my world count?
Yes, it does.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
In my world.
Makes me feel so special.
You should. Not too many people get to be special in my world.
Right.
I've heard it. I appreciate it.
So, let's see here. I'm trying to get things together, but I'm getting it slowly but surely. It's been a minute since we had a podcast.
Man.
And these things happen.
Back.
These things happen.
Back.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, we are back.
How long has it been?
So
We've
today,
been on hiatus for a while.
quite some time. Today's podcast is about realtor and what it is to be a realtor and what it takes and how to find one. Because a lot of people don't know, they're not familiar.
Yeah.
You'd
be surprised.
You can't just go on the street and just get a shade tree. I mean, you could, but why?
Right.
You could pay more, but why? So I would like to introduce formally today. We have in the building with us, we have, let's see here. We have Debbie Carter-Weber, a great friend of mine, and she is a realtor, helped us buy our home, as well as my mom and other people that I've known throughout the years. So welcome, Debbie. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Perfect. Yes. So the first question to Debbie would be basically, how long have you been a realtor?
So I have been a real estate agent for 14 years. I'll be in my 14th year this year. So I joined a small broker back in 2011. And this is what I didn't know if it was going to be for me, but I've made it a career of it for the last 14 years.
You like it?
I love it.
That's it. That's all. As long as you like it.
Didn't think I would find, when you're growing up, you're not sure what you really want to do. There are some people that know exactly what they want to be. But I always knew I was going to be a mom. I always knew I was going to be married, be a mom, but I never knew what my career path would be.
Career, gotcha.
And finally found it 14 years ago. So better late than never.
Yeah. Because I wanted to be a singer, actress, dancer. Never wanted to be a mom. And that got flipped. I love being a mom. And it's really about what your passion is. And you are passionate about your job. I see that in you when you help people. It's really a passion of yours.
Thank you. And I was passionate about being a mother too. I just kind of transcended that into real estate once my kids got to be off of my ankles.
I feel you. I understand that one.
And I wanted to be a motherfucker.
I think you've accomplished it.
I think you've done that. We've already covered that one.
All right, so boss lady, ask some questions. What you got for Debbie?
We have a few questions here on the paper, only because if you guys catch me looking at the paper, only because I had a long week of work, so I have to kind of refer to my notes here. Okay, this is what I want to know. What is the difference? Is there a difference between being an agent or a broker? If they say, get you a real estate agent. Well, I'm a broker. I can help you. Da da da. Okay. What is the difference?
So the difference is when the broker is basically usually someone that maybe owns the office. So, and an agent works for the broker.
Okay. So it's a hierarchy type deal.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So when you first become, in the state of Missouri, you have to be a real estate agent, a licensed real estate agent for at least 2 years.
Okay.
And then you take a broker's license. So you can. Oh. You don't ever have to become a broker if you don't want to. That's in the state of Missouri. A lot of other, like in the state of Illinois, they actually when you get licensed in Illinois, you become a real estate broker. You go through a little bit more education in that. And that's really that's what a broker is. They have a little bit more on the administrative side of things when it comes to real estate. So when you become a broker, you can open your own office, have other agents, but with that great prominence, that also comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And insurance and EEO and a lot of things come from being a broker. Never been anything that I really wanted to do. I could go that route and get my broker's license. I might, but I would still.
At this point, you're good.
At this point, I'm good. I don't plan on necessarily owning my own brokerage. I kind of like doing what I do, and that's
working with the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an administrator of anything.
Okay.
Except my own self and a team.
Okay, I love it. I feel like some people. Well, my sister-in-law. I think she's part-time with it, but she loves doing hair. But I gotta get something real, type thing. But yeah, I never thought about going into that, but I can understand why you like it though.
So, and with Keller Williams, because that's the brokerage I've been with, they allow me a lot of my own autonomy. I can really do anything that I want. So even though Keller Williams is like the red, black and white are the theme colors, they don't make you adhere just to the Keller Williams logos and things of that nature. There are a couple things that we have to do, but you are free to run your business as a business how you want. Not a lot of brokerages can do that. So for instance, I'll just throw out a very common one is Coldwell Banker. So they have strict logo policies, that kind of thing. Everybody's sign is the same, all of that. With KW, it's not like that. They really are about their agents and making you a business owner, not just a real estate agent. So I'm kind of my own broker in a sense within my own, how I can do my job and how I can run my business, but I do it within the protection and
I was going to
KW.
say, okay, it's the backing.
Yes.
The backing.
The backing,
important.
absolutely.
Oh, that's important. Well, let's get off into your education. If someone wants to become a realtor, how do they go about doing that?
Okay.
How did you go about
How did I go about it? So
Yeah.
my journey was a little bit different than most. So ended up getting connected with a very smaller brokerage. The guy, he kind of scoped me out at an event. Wasn't quite sure if he was actually trying to date me or if he was
I was
actually.
like, this is getting interesting.
It's like, so
Give me the details.
I think okay, I'm about to. And
here
it's
it
funny, and it's funny because we laughed about it several years later when I was with him. But so we met at a United Way event, and my friend was even saying, "And this guy's been clocking you all around."
Yeah.
He saw that I was in real estate at the time. I was doing facility management, so I worked for a Cassidy Turley, Collier, Turley Martin Tucker. It was a commercial real estate firm.
Wow.
So
like a law firm.
It does. Everybody thought that it was, but it was really a commercial real estate firm. I mean, a commercial real estate firm. So anyway, ended up meeting up with him. He asked me out to lunch, and he asked me a lot of stuff about real estate, but he was also really kind of flirty about it too. So I really wasn't quite sure. I had left my husband by that time, so I was like, I don't know. He's kind of cute. We'll see. So when he asked me out to lunch, I brought my resume, but I also was cute.
Okay, there is you.
And then he finally told me, as we were just talking, getting to know each other, he talked about his wife and his 2 kids. And I guess my face must have said it because you know what? He wasn't wearing a ring. And I'm just, thank you.
Right.
Yes. So of course I checked myself real quick, and I was like, okay, so this is really about real estate.
Yeah, really did.
So of course I ended up becoming his assistant first. And then a couple of months after that, I went into real estate school. But the funny thing, about 6 or 7 months later, we actually were talking, and he said, "Debbie, you're the reason why I started wearing my wedding ring." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And he's like, "Because I saw your face when we first met, and you thought it was a date." And I was like, "Well, honestly, I wasn't sure."
Yeah.
But I was prepared because I didn't want to be like living there with my face cracked. But he goes, "Man," And you made me realize that I might have been on a lot of first dates
For
that
some
I didn't
people.
really think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's the kind of funny story kind of going with that. But
It is women sitting somewhere like, he
The
never
more you
called
know.
me back.
The more you know.
the more you know. So we gotta chuckle out of that. He was a nice looking guy.
Oh, wow.
And our personalities really matched really well. So it was kind of funny, but I'm like, yes, please put your ring on because you are giving people hope and this hope that they're not supposed to have.
False hope.
Very false hope.
False
So,
hope player.
all right. So through all of that, let me actually get to the
Answer to the
The
question.
meat and
answer to the
potatoes.
question.
Yeah.
But it was a funny segue. So, I'd actually always, so to become an actual real estate agent, actually. So, the first thing you have to do, you have to go to real estate school.
I didn't know there was a real estate
There is a
school.
real estate school. So think of any kind of profession if you're
Yeah.
doing any you're a lawyer. I mean, any kind of anything that has a professional license, you have to do some type of schooling or testing.
Yeah.
Real estate, though, it's not that hard to get into, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a book learner. I need to be in the classroom. So there's two ways you can usually go to a school. You can go into a classroom setting,
Yeah.
and you sit in the class and they teach you everything, or you can do it online. Me personally, I don't do well with online. I'm so glad I wasn't in this COVID age.
Oh, yeah.
I would not have been able to
Video
make it.
classes.
I'm surprised my daughters did as well as they did. But anyway,
Sleep.
so Coldwell Banker actually had a real estate school.
Okay.
So I went for a week and a half, and I was there all week for like 8 days. 8 hours a day. And they taught us everything that we needed to know about being a real estate agent on paper.
Mm.
They didn't really teach anything about how to actually be a real estate agent. It was a lot of just book learning stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I can't remember really a lot of things about that actually pertain to what I do on a daily basis. It's kind of interesting, right? I'm loving the sound
For
effects.
some folks, it's harder to learn in certain ways. So
It is.
understand.
Because if I sit in the classroom,
Right.
I'm not there.
Right.
But
So
if you tell me do it online, I have to focus on it. 'Cause
Okay,
I got to
see?
get it done.
different
Yeah.
strokes for different folks. I can't do that because I will find any and everything to do other than sit down
Yeah.
at that computer and learn.
Right.
So, so basically though, the basic thing is that you have to go through this, go through either the school or do the class online.
Okay.
And then you take 2 tests. Once you get done with that, you take a national test and a state test, depending on what state you're in. So your national test is it's like that for everybody. Each state has their own different test, and so you have to pass each one. And once you're there, hooray, you are a real estate agent.
Now, do they give you clients or you have to seek your
Oh,
own
no.
clients?
That's
You have to drum up your own.
just
Clientele.
passing the test and all of that. That's all that you get.
So you get your realtor's license and then it's.
You have to figure out what you're going to do with it. Yes.
Gotcha. Ooh.
So it's simple, but it's not easy, is what we always tell people
Yeah.
for real estate. So
Okay.
a lot of a misconception that you're just going to jump in and just start making money and all of that. It is a job, and
Yeah.
it is not a 9-to-5 job. I work weekends.
We know.
I
Thank
work
you for that.
holidays.
Weekends, holidays, so on and so forth.
I work
Family
after.
events.
Right.
I work in the evenings, and I do set some boundaries, of course, but there things just always seem to happen. So
You have to be available.
you have to be
One of those
available.
on-call type deals.
But once you get your license, what you end up having to do is find a broker. So now the
Okay.
broker is that's where the brokers come in. So you have to have your license with an actual broker. So your Keller Williams, your Coldwell Bankers, your Compass, your Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
So that's when I usually say I'm hoping that if you be wanting to become an agent, that you already know possibly where you're
Where you
wanting
wanna
to
work.
go.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can't do anything unless your license is with one of the brokers.
Got you.
There's some fees involved to go ahead and plan on shelling out probably about $1,000 just to get started.
Yeah.
Which is really still very inexpensive when you think of other professions.
Yeah.
So it is easier to get into.
Hey,
It's
you
not
gotta
as much.
spend money to make money. And
Yeah,
I don't
you have to spend
understand why
money to
some
make
people
money.
don't understand
Scary money
that.
don't make none,
Yeah.
Exactly.
as they say. I got a quick question. Is being a realtor something like being like a barber where you have to word of mouth and or promotion to get people to come in? Because, a lot of people go to barber school, they graduate, and then boom, you're in someone's shop. And then sometimes you got to rely on man's mama dropping off little man and say, hey, come on, little bro, I got you. And before you can, or maybe you have somebody in your family that says, hey, go to this person. So is that something
Very similar? Very similar.
Okay.
You're doing, when you become an agent, and for me again, I was with that gentleman. He had a smaller brokerage. So I was able, he wanted me to come in to basically be his right hand. He had a big brokerage. Then with the recession and everything, he minimized himself, but he realized that he needed somebody else to help him. And he really wanted me to take over his brokerage at that time, or at least at some point. He had some political aspirations. And so he wanted me to come in and kind of take over his brokerage at some point. But I was fed leads. So I got there. I don't know really shit from Shiola.
Yeah.
Bring out a whole old term there. So I learned under him. I learned what to actually do. And I was fed basically leads and things so that I can start making money. Until I got a chance to promote myself a lot more. And people started saying, oh, I'll give you a shot. Yes, let me.
And then the references also come in behind how great you work with people.
Thank you.
Of course, they're going to scream your names. We've done it. Oh, we've done it.
Oh, I know.
Boy, have we done it.
I love you guys for that.
Yeah, we're going to put you on every chance we get.
Yes. So
on the show, all.
But, and so like with Mo's example, yes, the word of mouth, the advertisement, the stuff you put up on social media and everything like that helps to build your brand, build your business. And the years I've been in it, like I said, 14 years, I got the comeback. I got the second, they're selling their house and buying a bigger house, or they're downsizing. I get their children, their parents,
right,
their friends. I have one particular client. I'm sorry, I'm going to shout him out. His name's Brian Gant. And I think he's been he has given me the most business out of one person that I've worked with. I've probably done about, because of knowing him and helping him his first to sell one of his houses, I've gotten like 12 other pieces of business.
Nice.
Over the last like 6-7 years. That's he is he can do no wrong. So shout out to Brian. I love you.
Shout out, Brian.
I don't know you, but I love your name.
He's a good dude.
I got a quick question. How do you know, or would a person, the average consumer, know a good realtor from a bad one?
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta make sure I'm.
You ain't gotta say no names.
No, won't say any names. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
Because
just
you gotta
gonna
make
be
sure,
out here.
because we want to make sure they taking care of everybody and make sure their price is right.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
So I'm trying to think of this. To say this the right way.
Making it PC.
Right.
If you can't say it right, say it wrong. Just
Right.
say
So many times you will see a person, we always call it commission breath. So this is one of those kind of agents that they're really pushy. They're very, how do I word it?
aggressive.
Aggressive,
They can
thirsty,
be. So
hungry.
So let
rude.
me say, just like for me specifically, if you send me someone and I'm going to, reach out to them, I'm going to talk to them, hopefully get some rapport with them,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can, have a meeting of some sort to make sure that they're comfortable or whatever. But depending on what they're needing, if they're buying or selling, whatever the case is,
Right.
we have a consultation. However, I'm here as your advocate, so I need to build that trust with you. So if I can kind of feel already if someone just isn't feeling my vibe,
Got you.
and that's just I guess I've just
Pick up on
learned it a little bit more, but the pushiness, the hey, we need to get out right now, hey, sign this right now,
Yeah.
Without really explaining things. So so that's a good one.
Right,
An agent that's not willing to explain the contracts and stuff that's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
That is a big red flag.
I liken it to bedside manner.
Yes.
You have doctors out there that's just, set it and forget it. Look, here, this is the issue. Like,
Right.
hey, you're gonna die in 3 months. We just need you to
Sign the paper.
Yeah, and then you get this other nurse that's like, well, the time you have is precious. We're gonna do ... to make you comfortable.
Exactly.
But then this other person's like, look, I've been through this 11 times.
Right.
You're gonna die. Sign this.
The bedside manner, that's probably the best way of explaining it, whether you're dealing with a buyer or a seller.
Yeah.
A buyer, I probably have 65% of my business is first-time home buyers. So they're scared. They're excited. They're scared. This is the biggest purchase that they've will ever do. Yeah. Many of them are first-generation homeowners. Yeah, none of their parents, family, cousins, grandma, they all rent. So they're hearing things like, why do you want to do this?
Why you got to look at my credit? Why do you got to look at my bank account? Why do you need to know what I make per month?
All of that.
I got the money.
You have to be able to, right. Mattress money ain't the money that I need you to have.
Exactly.
I need you to have, I need you to have a paper trail of that cash that you're putting in there.
I spoke about that earlier.
So I've met agents that don't really go through they don't explain the process. It is a process. And it's something that you can't rush through. And if you have an agent that is just rushing through these kind of things, it's a total red flag.
Yeah.
Not knocking anyone that has dual career because, some people can kind
multitask.
Can multitask, but depending, are they just doing 1 or 2 deals a year? Or is this like something that they do 10 deals a year or something? Even in their dual career, at least we know that they are doing business.
Yeah.
That's kind of a red flag. In some ways, there are great agents out there. I'm not saying that every person that has a dual career is not. Yeah. But I always want to preface my clients to make sure that you are still being put as a priority. If you do not feel that, are you the only one sending houses to your realtor? Is your realtor ever sending you houses? Right. When we were buying you guys' house, I know you guys sent me stuff every now and then, but I was sending you all things on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, it's just some of those things. They should be working hard for you, not you working hard to get them to do stuff for you. Right. If that makes sense.
Right. Makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Can I also piggyback? There was a situation where when we were trying to buy this home, how you warned me about not slipping up, not buying certain, because even though I am like second or third generation of a home buyer, because buying homes in my family was no thing, but this was like the first one. Well, this is the second house that I bought. The first house, my aunt was my realtor, and she pretty much just carried me through it. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to do much of anything because I'm like one of the favorite nephews. Right. But for
just go ahead and say it.
Right, but for when we were going through the process, you gave me a whole lot of, like a list of things to don't buy this, don't do that, don't do this. It's okay so to do that, but don't I would like for you to currently, right now, speak on the red flags, the epic fails
that people do.
That people do
during that
during the process.
Buy because everything holy. If you are planning to buy a home and that is in your future, okay. 1. Now, things happen where, like, you might have to buy a car, things like that. But if you are really serious about buying a home, whatever credit and stuff you got right now, stick to it and don't change it. Pay things off. Don't get new credit cards. Do not have more people running your credit on anything. Yeah. I had a guy purchase $5,000 worth of stuff at the Louis Vuitton store 3 days before he was supposed to buy a home. And I'm like, I've had I haven't, but I've had friends of mine that they bought a car. They've bought furniture. They got too excited. I get it. You want to buy furniture for your home, but the credit, they are going to check your credit usually 1 to 2 days before you are closing. They want to make sure that you have not gotten new credit because it's going to take 30 days or so to show up.
Yep.
They want to make sure that DTI all of that stuff. DTI is your debt to income ratio. They want to make sure that what you gave to the lender at the time that we got you approved is the same credit and the same thing that you got going on. You can do stuff as normal, like you would be normal life, but just don't go and buy anything.
Major.
Don't go buy anything.
Don't make any major.
No major purchases, especially on credit. Now, if you have cash and you're doing stuff out of your checking account,
Okay.
that's normal. You're buying things, you're living
Groceries,
life.
gas,
Right.
mortgage.
All of that stuff is normal. Even
Yep.
if I had a guy that he was worried because he needed to buy, he had a bunch of money in the account, but he was needing to move some from his savings to his checking because he needed to buy his fiance, or soon to be fiance, the ring. And I'm like, are you paying cash?
Yeah.
Yes, I am not paying on credit. And I'm like, okay. And the lender did say, okay, what was that for? Because they saw the purchase once. And he was like, I had this money set aside in my savings. As you can see, I moved it. I bought my wife, my fiance a ring. Okay, that's fine.
Gotcha.
But they're looking.
Yeah.
They are so looking. And it'll mess you up every time.
Sit still.
Sit. Do
Grandma used
not.
to say, sit your butt down. Don't move. Don't you
And
move.
I tell people also when they're working on their credit, okay, you're working on your credit. So this is all you need to be focused on, paying this down, getting these collections off of you. Do these things. Do not. There's a certain discipline you have to have when you're buying a home.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that discipline, you shouldn't be trying to buy a home. You're just going to disappoint everybody, including yourself.
So here's the thing. What happens if they do? Let's say they made a major purchase. They bought the car. You told them don't buy the car. They bought the car. I had to get the car. You know, my wife's car went out. I had to get the car.
And they
Okay.
bought $6,000 worth of Louis Vuitton and Gucci.
Okay, so
Inside the car.
it does depend. If there's something like that happens where it's an emergency type of thing,
Yeah.
talk to your lender.
Let 'em
Okay,
know.
you don't have to tell me all of your business, but the lender is the person that you need to tell everything. If you got that mattress money,
you.
and we don't want it. Please don't put it in your account.
Yeah.
For those, I hope y'all know what mattress money is. It's
Yeah,
like
they're
what
old.
grandma and grandpa never they didn't trust banks, so they took their checks and they put that money in the mattress.
Right. I ain't gonna tell you where I put mine, but I.
But
I
wherever
feel
the
you.
case, wherever the case is.
Or you.
So
Child, they
what
know.
I would say, if anything were to happen, you just run it by the lender first.
Okay.
Anything that happened, I told you to call Tom.
Yeah.
Make sure Tom knows or that's who his lender was at the time. So
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
Tom
Shout
was
out to Tom.
Tom's
He
a
was
good
so
dude.
sweet.
Good dude,
us.
real good dude.
He's with he left the company he was with before. He's now with First Integrity Supreme Lending. So
Didn't he leave like 2 different companies? He's like
yeah,
the third or fourth
he's
company.
gone a couple
Yeah,
times.
he's balling. He's ready. I see.
Trying,
He has what they call the glow. He's the glow up. Do the glow up.
Oh, that just might be the ball head, but
you got the shot.
So what can happen? Well, the
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton guy, I will make that as an example. So
Oh, listen, Louis Vuitton. Guy.
he bought that 2 to 3 days before we were supposed to close. They ran his credit. They saw it in there. He also had put cash in there that he could not source. And so the seller, he was denied the loan. Now, you know that 2 to 3 days before closing, there are no more contingencies. When the buyer contract in Missouri is very buyer friendly. So there are multiple ways to get out of the contract if you need to, due to different things. But we were past all that. So he lost his $4,000 in earnest money because technically that he's in breach of contract.
Oh wow! So he lost the.
He lost the $4,000 earnest money deposit that he had in there. Now here's the kicker, though: the seller could have sued him as well. So people do not quite understand that this is a legal document.
That
this
you're
is
entering
legal.
into.
Yes,
Oh,
this is a legal binding document, and the best case scenario is losing your earnest money.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is the seller suing you. And it's vice versa as well. I've seen where a seller has been in breach of contract and has not completed the contract or signed the documents at closing. And so same thing. the buyer can get their earnest money back, but there's also other legalities that they could go through. They could sue them in small claims court. They can do a lot of things and get all the money that they put into it. Like when you're buying a house, you're buying it, you go to your inspection, you're paying for your appraisal. Hell, I didn't do anything wrong. I need to be paid.
Yeah, you're doing your job.
At the end of the day,
Right.
everything has happened and there's a breach. I still need to be paid.
Yeah, this is not a hobby.
So I just tell people you can't go into buying a home willy-nilly. There are legal consequences when you do not do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and they look to the realtor to
I'm
kind of
there.
guide them through that stuff.
Exactly.
So it kind of goes back to what you said. If they are aggressively kind of like pushing you through the process, that is a red flag.
That is a red flag if they're not explaining.
If you don't know, you don't know, and then it's like, oh, they're suing you, but I still need my check. You know?
Right.
Red flag.
My fiduciary responsibility is to you as whether I'm representing you as a buyer or a seller.
Gotcha.
But definitely, if I don't take the time, let me give you another great example. And this is a young lady that I was just, she just came to me because she was another agent. I got her business now, but she was working with this particular agent. And they put an offer on a home, and the buyer, the agent never went through the actual contract with her.
Oh my!
Like I sit down, and I know we did, and it took us a while. We were on the phone like 45 minutes, but I went through line by line, paragraph by paragraph of what you were signing. Mm-hmm. The agent never went through it. And so the buyer had questions, and she's like, well, I want you to put this in there, or I want you to, can we make sure that they're paying for this? And the agent's response was just, well, it's already built in the contract.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's great. But if you don't explain that to them, and I was like, red flag, red flag. And I'm listening to her, and I always feel horrible. And I'm just like, not every real estate agent is made the same.
That's true.
And if you immediately start feeling uneasy about how they're working, get out of it.
Yeah, follow your gut.
Follow your gut. Call their broker. Say, I would like to get out of this contract.
If possible.
If possible, yeah. And it should be. I never want to keep anybody. If you're not happy with my services, that's the last thing I want to do is keep you in a contract that you are not, and you're not happy with my services. Because while you guys were happy with me, and you tell people, if you weren't happy with me, how many people would you have told even more about how horrible this agent was?
That's true. Like that gets around faster.
Yeah, you be quick to put a Yelp review.
I've always been told word of mouth. It takes one negative review can spread to like 10 people, while one positive can spread to 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is.
That's exactly it. I never want anybody to feel that way.
Right.
And again, this is your purchase. This is your dream, the American dream. Why am I going to stand in the way of you getting a home just because my feelings are butthurt because we weren't getting along, or probably I wasn't doing my job.
Well, to their needs maybe.
Currently, real quick, what is the state of real estate of the real estate market in St. Louis, and is it a good time to buy? It's a 2-part question.
Okay.
So the state of real estate market as it stands right now in St. Louis,
mm-hmm.
and is it a good time to buy currently?
So I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
It's always a good time to buy. Hey,
that's what I say.
Always a good time to buy.
Shout out to Amazon.
The state of the the state of the market of St. Louis, the real estate market in St. Louis. So, as you know, you guys are all definitely natives of St. Louis. There's pockets of areas, and every area is a little bit different. You got your North County, your North City, your South County, your West County, your Chesterfield, and currently, we're all feeling the same thing in every area for the most part, and it is a seller's market. We are low in inventory, and that's for many reasons. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's kind of secular too. So many of these people that are in homes, they bought and got really low interest rates, like from during COVID. A lot of these people that had been in their homes for many years are finally seeing a huge increase in value, but they also refied, got lower interest rates. and how crazy the interest rates went from in 22, where at the beginning of the years, they were like at the fours. By the time I bought my house in June of 22, we were at 5.25. By August, they were up to like 6, almost 7%. So the problem that I see, at least in my experience, the inventory is low and no one's wanting to really sell for a couple of reasons. One, well, they can't find a house because nobody's putting their house on the market. But two, the state of our world is a little bit scary. Whatever you guys are, red or blue, the economic instability of our country is also something that is, in my opinion, keeping some people from not wanting to sell their home.
That makes sense. I had a coworker of mine, this is about 2 years ago. He had sold his house out in Troy, and he wasn't thinking. He assumed he could find a house. He sold his house, had to move out of his house, and had to go live like an extended stay. He put everything in storage because of the simple fact that he didn't have a place to move into.
Right.
Because he couldn't find. I mean, I'm sure by now he's found something by now, but it was very uncomfortable to move out of a home, sell a home, you get everything you get from selling a home, but have nowhere to take
and have nowhere to go
for you and your family.
A lot of people have seen that. And it's finally, it is nice that most people are now seeing the values back up in their homes. So just take consideration North County, hardest hit during the recession. Not only were there so much predatory lending, there was, but then we also lost the Ford plant.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 school districts lose their accreditation over there in Riverview, and was it Normandy maybe? Definitely, I remember Riverview during that time.
Or they still have theirs?
No, they still have theirs.
What about
but back
Hazelwood?
then,
back then.
But I'm talking about back in the late 2000s when the recession was going on. Yeah. So to me, North County was the hardest hit. At North County, North City during that recession, and we saw a dip of like 30 to 40% of value. People lose it almost overnight. We're finally back. If you look at the rate of 4% that usually real estate rises every year, we are definitely now back to pretty much that trend of where the housing should be. Maybe a little bit less, but most other areas are a lot more expensive.
Yeah, because currently, every once a month I get like a auto email about the home values in my area, and so we bought the house for $190. It approved for $191, and now, if I'm not mistaken, it's worth like $265.
Right.
So
in
that's
this neighborhood.
I love it.
Yeah, we love it.
We ain't going nowhere.
And you got a pretty good interest rate, if I remember. So.
Yeah, we did.
So the state of, I feel really bad for what's going on right now because the instability of everything that's, people want to buy homes and they've been thinking that this new administration is going to change something and lower these interest rates. It's not going to happen, people. Buy now. Yeah. Buy, because the house today is going to be higher in a year. So right now, you just said your house is $265 right now.
Yes.
So next year it might be $285.
Right.
So for anyone that's still waiting to have this 3% or so, it's not going to happen. The only way that let me put a pin in that. It probably will not happen unless we have another major type of situation, or another pandemic.
Yeah.
Something major like that, because the interest rates are, there's a couple of factors that go into why interest rates go up and down. One of them is unemployment. And during COVID, we had like a 20%
increase.
Unemployment was at 20%. It normally hangs in there around 5 to 7.
Yeah.
The last I heard, at least at the beginning of this year, we are still at 4. So we are still, there are more job openings than there are people to fill them. So with that being said, that's part of why inflation has stayed up. And when inflation's up, unemployment's low, inflation goes higher, the interest rates go up. or stay up. It's all that there's not just one thing that can make the interest rates go down.
Gotcha.
So if you're seeing a dramatic lowering of interest rates, is because something is majorly going on and wrong in our country. We don't want that.
Yeah.
And to put it into my parents, when they bought their house in Trailwoods, their interest rate was 16%. So put that in perspective. In the 80s, interest rates were between 12 and 18%.
Damn.
Now, obviously, the home prices weren't as high,
Of course.
but let's put it in
but
perspective,
still.
people. And if you're renting, you're just paying off somebody else's mortgage.
You really are. You really are. And that brings me to, I know this is going to sound like a really simplified question, but if people don't know, they don't know. You mentioned earlier a seller's market or a buyer's market.
Right.
Break those two terms down. What is a seller's market? What is a buyer's market?
Okay, so a buyer's market is when there is, some people change the numbers a little bit, but for the most part, a buyer's market is when there is 4 or more months of inventory in the home. I mean, in the area, that if no new homes got back on the market, it would take 4+ months to sell everything in that area.
Gotcha.
So say, for instance, during when I became an agent in 2011, the market in Florissant, Hazelwood, just North County in general, I thought the highest I saw was about 7 months of inventory.
Oh, wow.
So basically, if anybody out there that had a house or was trying to sell the house between 2009 and probably 2012, 13, they were practically giving it away. There was incentives where people are paying closing costs and doing all these things to incentivize buyers, because there was a plethora of homes to choose from. So what's going to make your home stand out for me, the buyer, to choose your home? So 4+ months of inventory is considered a buyer's market.
Okay.
So between 3 and 4, or some people will say 5 to 5+ is a buyer's market. Between 3 and 4 or whatever is a balanced market. So again, 3 to 4 months of inventory, if nothing else new. So yep, there's a lot, but that's still, there's some competition out there, but it's still okay. Anything 3 months or less is a seller's market. And we have been in a seller's market since COVID.
I know prior to COVID, I was looking for a house, and I was doing my homework for almost a year and a half. Like, I'm Zillowing it up. I'm looking at all these homes. I'm marking down. I'm like, wow, this home has been on the market 108 days. This one has been on the market 374 days.
What's the matter with it?
Yeah, and that's the first thing. And it's like, I know nothing about this, but that home has been on here for almost 2 years now. What the heck?
Right. And it may just be it's overpriced. Yeah. The condition is not good for the price that's in there. Most likely it's the condition of the property. Yeah. The pictures were, us realtors, we're very good at making the pictures look really nice. But the minute you get inside the house
and you see the bones,
it might not be so great. So usually price and condition, neighborhood could be some of the reasons why it's still on the market.
And I've seen some homes come down $2-3 on the price, and it's like, what's really going on? That's what prompted me to continue to do my homework versus just pulling the trigger. And so my husband was like, nope, got to pull the trigger. I'm going to call Debbie. I was like, oh, okay.
And didn't we go to a couple of those ones and they were not good?
No.
So that does
pictures
tell
made
a story.
Them look like,
that does tell a story.
But you really can't until you see something in person. And if you've purchased anything online, anybody, until you get it in person or you talk to somebody that's bought that.
Temu dresses.
Yeah, right. Those little Temu.
Like, who's supposed to get
I seen a great speaker yesterday, and I took a picture of it. I cannot find it. I Googled it. I cannot find it on the internet except for that Facebook post. And they're advertising it for like $45. It's a beautiful speaker. It's round. It looks like the old school. and it looks like a computer monitor, but it's a circle, and it's got the speaker on the outside.
I might have seen this.
You might have seen it. I'm like, for $40. Okay, let's play this game. So I'm like, I'm gonna Google it because you are obviously scamming people. Only to find out when I did my homework, it came back to a company called Auto Unlimited, such and such. They sell cars and tires, but then they have a international phone number, and it's like, whoa, it's too many red flags. But again, do your homework. So anybody that's
you can only get a hold of them on WhatsApp, that's a problem.
Right? It's like, but no, they have like the +65097 63854. You know, that type of number, like an international number. And it's like, yeah, I'm good.
There is an app
Slow ass laughs.
There's an app that a lot of us realtors and some of the associations actually give to realtors, or it's available. It's called Forewarn, and it's you pay a monthly subscription, but you can put any number in there and it will pull up all kind of stuff. So you pull up a number, it's like, oh, it's from a guy. Well, I ain't gonna say no. I'm not gonna say any countries. I don't want to make anybody mad, but yeah, it usually, if it's too good to be true,
it's a scam.
It's a scam. But in regard to the seller's market, so 2-3 months and under is considered a seller's market. So knowing that there's only 2 months of inventory or 3 months of inventory, that definitely signals that there's a lot more buyers in the market and things are selling quickly. So to, again, put in perspective, I ran the numbers for St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and St. Charles County. I looked at what, in my newsletter, I always send it out, but I looked it up. And St. Louis County has 1.8 months of inventory. 1.8. Now, a little bit higher when it comes to condos, because it's a little bit harder to sell a condo right now. So there's a lot more condos on the market, but that was pretty much almost across the board. The city of St. Louis had a little bit more. They were at 2.5, but in St. Charles was still like 1.7, 1.6, something like that. Right. So the minute the house is going on the market, it's leaving. It's very, very little inventory.
Snatched up.
So the unfortunate part of that is some of these sellers can be a little greedy, I think, in some cases, or sometimes. Maybe let me call them greedy. I want to, you guys have bought your first home, so you guys know the anxiety of buying a home and the things that, you do inspections. We did an inspection. We did a lot of things to make sure that the home was in a great condition. And because there's such little inventory, the sellers can really do and take and accept anything that they want. And it's really a tough challenge for some of my first time home buyers, or just home buyers in general, because they may have perfect credit and they have down payment and all that, but sometimes I see people waive their inspections, waiving all kind of things. And me personally, I cannot advocate my buyers into waiving some certain things of that nature, because I want them to have a great experience. And you waive an inspection, it's going to come back and bite you. It's going to, and I do not want that to come back and bite me. So
crossing T's, dotting I's is important.
And I guess when I use the word greedy, I didn't mean it to say greedy, but don't you remember when you had to buy your first home and what you had to go through? And sometimes I think
the integrity comes into play, because
I'm like,
some people are like, well, it ain't me, fine.
Right.
I don't have to deal with it after the fact. Fine. Hey, this is on you now.
Right.
And sign and get it over with type thing. But integrity comes into play when it comes to that.
Either way, though, as a seller's agent or buyer's agent, I'm going to respect and do what I'm supposed to do for my client. But it just kind of makes me sad for a lot of my buyers right now, because there are people that are waiving everything to get into these homes.
So let's go here then. I think I had that question pulled up. What are the top 3 things a person should ask a realtor, to get that, if you just had to?
So in realtor is in when they're buying a house or selling a house, or actually just in general of choosing your realtor?
I think just like with dating, they're going to bring their best representative. So what would be key questions to ask someone to know that you're getting a good person versus someone that's acting good.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like they putting on the act versus this is really who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions that you could ask is, well, how long have they been a realtor? Not saying that a 1 year person is not going to be able to do it.
30-year person.
Right. But because then you could get the person that says, I've been in the business 30 years and
they're jaded in the game, trying
exactly.
to get it over with.
So, I would ask that question and if they have been a little bit shorter in the game, do they have a team or do they have someone that's going to be helping? Because
that's important.
That is important. When I first became an agent, and I was very leery on taking like listings because I just wasn't as comfortable with it as I was with the buyers.
Gotcha.
But as time came, I started to leverage my my office and my people and say, well, my office or my team has 20 years experience in listings or in that kind of thing. Kind of helps it out a little bit. Like you said, a little bit again is the professionalism and stuff that they can come across too.
Yeah.
If they're coming in late, I mean, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
We have an appointment. The appointment is at 2:30 and I'm going to be at your door, ding dong, at 2:30.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Those are some of those things that really say a lot of things about people. Is it I mentioned it before, are you a full-time agent or are you a part-time agent? Yeah. Because in this market currently, especially for buyers, I'm kind of on call right now. If I see something post at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and I see it and it's going to be something perfect for my client, I need to let them know about it right away. And I might need to go and show that to them tonight. Yeah. Because there may not be an opportunity to see it again. That's the unfortunate part of this and we're in the spring now, so there's so many more buyers out right now. Yeah. So are they finding the properties for you, or are you having to send them the properties? One of the things we just talked about before. Yeah. I put all of my clients on a concierge drip. They tell me kind of what they're looking for, and we already have the conversation of where they want to be. Mm-hmm. So I am very specific. Does it matter school district, or does it matter the county? Does it matter, some parts of city that you might not want to be in? We're going to go through that very well in detail. And then I'm going to send you homes that shouldn't meet your criteria. Yeah. And are they just waiting for you to send them some Zillow stuff? And okay, we'll go see it.
I think that makes it longer. You know what I mean? When you don't specify how much house you could actually afford. Right. When you don't specify school districts or zoning areas that you would prefer not. It just seems like it would make the work longer and harder for who's trying to help you. Right. And then you don't narrow it down.
And then you're looking at all kind of houses everywhere, and I want
prom dress. What kind? You want mermaid? You want slinky? You want princess?
Be specific. Yeah. And agents that aren't asking you those kind of questions, how quickly do you need to be gone? What's your, the more questions that an agent is asking you, that's the kind of agent that you want.
More involved.
They're more involved. They're finding out more specifics about what you are. Just like, oh, you looking for a house? Okay, when you want to go out?
It's got to have 4 walls and a door. I got a dog and a husband. That's all. Is it a bedroom? 2? Bathroom. Y'all keep the toilet in there?
Perfect.
And you would be surprised.
Yeah, I know.
And I get so many so many clients that have been with a bad agent and they got PTSD, and I have to really do a lot to make sure that
a lot of coddling,
and that's okay though. So, and I'll real quick before you ask another question, I want to talk about this particular client and I actually ended up getting her a house. She closed in December. But I've been talking to her for a while. Mm-hmm. And she had gone through a program called Operation Hope that's in the city.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. They helping her with credit readiness and everything. And she had such a bad experience with I guess, a couple of agents.
Yeah.
And again, they were pushing her into different things. So when I got a hold of her, she actually was kind of mean to me, to be quite honest. Like every time I talked to her, she's like, "Yeah, okay." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna keep going through this until, I kind of get to let her realize that I'm here to find the best possible, and I'm not the possible home for you, but I'm also not here to get rich off you either. I mean, I want you to find the home." We ended up finding this perfect home. I got her down payment assistance. I facilitated a great deal for her, and I think she only brought maybe $500-600 to the table after she was all said and done. That's the kind of agent. That's what I want. I want to get you into a home with the least amount of money. And she was a first-time home buyer. She'd actually dealt with homelessness.
Oh, wow.
Had 2 kids. They were older, but she'd done a lot to get herself out of that. And for me to be able that agent that all those other agents that messed her up.
I can understand the anxiety.
For me to be that third one to come in, and I kind of took it a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she realized I was really on her side. That's why I do it. That's why I'm still here 14 years later.
I mean, that makes a difference.
Yes.
That really does make a difference. The integrity, humility, humbleness, all of that does come into play because you are dealing with people and their lives.
Their lives.
Their children's lives. Like, why is he good? I'm going to smack your snout.
Am I talking too much?
No, I think he's playing. I think he's just playing with the soundboard because he ain't got nothing else to do.
Do you want to get? Do we need to put you in this conversation though?
No.
Look how you said no. Look how you said no. Let me see here. You mentioned earlier about the administration and what we're going through at this point.
Yeah.
I know Mario has spoke on the NAR settlement.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't know there was a lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors.
So the National Association of Realtors was being sued along with some large real estate companies. There was I can't even remember the name of the people that started the lawsuit, but it was actually here in Missouri, in Kansas City, and I don't like. The most that I will just talk about it because it is very confusing about why the lawsuit came about. But at the end of the day, consumers need to know that one, you need to have representation. You should always have a buyer's representation as well. The seller will have a representation, but working with any realtor, there should be some type of a contract at all times, and that where some realtors have gotten themselves into problems is going over the legalities and everything with the buyer's agency agreement. It really started off basically, it was a seller that was upset. I'm going to paraphrase this lawsuit very, very much, but seller was upset that he was paying some commission to the buyer's agent. I think that they just did not have a great experience. And typically what has happened and what was set up in the state of Missouri and pretty much for around the country, a seller puts his home on the market. He signs a contract with the listing agent, and there is a commission that they negotiate for that agent to sell the property. And then in turn, the listing agent was giving a portion of that commission to the buyer's broker or buyer agent that brought them a ready, willing, and able buyer at the end of the day.
Okay.
That's never changed. That's the same thing that's still going on today. However, what's changed is just how we verbalize that. It's always been negotiable, no matter what. And I think a lot of people, and just unfortunately, some bad training for a lot of agents as well. We just weren't communicating that effectively. And there may be some troubled, some agents out there that just really aren't very good at showing their value to consumers. And that's on us. We need to be better at making sure we show our value on why we are needed in this, why you as a buyer should have representation when you are buying the biggest expense of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's really changed. It hasn't changed my business.
Okay.
I've always had, Missouri was one of the 13 states that already had a buyer's agency agreement. So it's imperative that when you meet with a new client, when you meet with a new buyer, you go through that buyer's agency agreement. And I won't let anyone step a foot into a house I won't let them go into a house with me until we have gone over the buyer's agency agreement
Right.
and you agree to everything that is written in there.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Some people know about it, some people don't. But
Yeah.
to be quite honest, it hasn't changed how I represent my clients either way.
Yeah.
And remember, everyone, everything is negotiable.
Yeah.
Whether it's commission, whether it's the sale of the house, getting closing costs, everything is negotiable. Period.
I love everything about that.
Yes.
Everything about that.
Nothing's set in stone.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hello.
Well,
I heard the bell.
yeah, you did.
I heard the bell.
It is the hour, the
It's time for
Did we
recess.
really go an hour?
1 hour, 1 minute.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
get on these mics, so let me tell you, you'll get on the mic and you'll be like, it's only been 10 minutes. And it turns out it's been an hour.
I didn't even notice it. And the
Yeah.
clock's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Hey, if everything goes good, everything goes the way it's supposed to go, the way it's supposed to go.
And we plan on having you on every so often, maybe once a month or
I would love that.
once every couple of months, so we can keep people updated on what's going on as far as that. I mean,
Yes.
because a lot of people are sitting on, money and credit and ways to get and just don't know where to start or how to start. Or I'll be honest with you, I don't like math. I hate hearing about numbers, but take me to a house.
Right.
I'm looking at pipes and lines and
That's-
I have the eyeballs. I
And
don't
there's
wanna deal
always
with the
one
finance.
person in the grid. There's one person that's just looking at the aesthetics of it. Oh my God, this kitchen is so pretty
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But me, I'm looking at this crack in the
Oh,
in the
they spray
foundation.
painted the ceiling
Right.
right. So now
Okay,
you're not
yeah,
gonna
let
know
me-
that
Yeah, let me
until
look
the
a little
first
bit
rain.
closer. Let's look. I can find the lipstick on a pig on anything.
Most folks don't understand that you're, in layman's term, you're basically their attorney, their lawyer
Yes.
when it comes to a house.
Yeah.
Because there was years ago, I had a situation where I introduced a coworker of mine to you. He got upset because you were on vacation and he wanted a house right now.
Mm.
He dropped you and went and got the house without her.
all kinds of problems.
Got all up in the
problems.
keister.
Just come on,
And
just
if you
a
would
little
just
patience.
slow your roll.
He fucked himself.
Yeah, slow your
Tell
roll.
me.
Pump your brakes, buddy.
Would
Tell
love
me.
to come on and talk a little bit more about like some of the down payment assistance programs and stuff
Okay.
that are out
Yeah,
there.
definitely.
That's what I was doing on Thursday
Yeah.
with being part of the Women's Council. I had a really great event where I had 6 or 7 different organizations that do down payment assistance,
Yeah.
depending on where you are in the state. And to be quite honest, we don't know with how things are getting cut and funding being shrinked. I mean,
Mhm.
don't wait. If you're looking to buy a house, you need to buy now.
Yeah.
Buy it now.
Don't blow that insurance money or that profit sharing money and then be like, dang, I could have got a house.
You could have got a house or your income tax check refund.
Yeah.
No,
Don't blow it on a car that's
No.
going to get repoed next Tuesday.
look at your credit. Why don't you blow that on fixing, closing out on some of those collections, those
Financial
collections,
education.
and get your credit up.
Yeah.
Then you can buy a house.
Yes.
We're more than, hey, Deb, you can come back anytime you want to. If you need to come around here and do some like not infomercials, but like little short clips, so
Yeah,
that way you
that's
can go
another
on,
avenue
you can
you can
post them on Facebook. You peoples, come on around.
Yes,
I got you.
because there's so much.
Because
There's so
we just
much
had
out
we just
there.
had Tori stop by.
Yeah.
He cut like 5 or 6 clips for his business,
Okay.
the Paradigm Credit Systems, which goes hand in hand with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
It
Lauren
really
credit,
does.
give her the
Tori?
credit to get out. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tori,
Larger,
yeah,
okay.
Torian, yeah,
Our Tory.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it goes hand in hand.
Say,
I like
Tori from high school, Tori. Let's
Yep.
go.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't
That's what I love
Yeah.
though too. There's enough of us out here doing business in North County. We're giving back. We're doing what we need to do because this is our spot. I hated seeing how bad our area went in the last 10, 12 years, but now seeing it all getting a lot better is
Yeah, it's on its
amazing.
way up. Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
No code for life.
Ain't that the truth? Because he ain't never going to move out of North County.
Definitely. So as it stands right now, I'm going to wrap this on up. So
Yes.
we are definitely happy to have We're back in terms of podcasting. It felt good to have a great co-host, and we had a great guest that came out at the same time universally. So in parting, allow me to say this before we go. In life, you have the gall to talk about it. We have the audacity to, you got the gall to do it. I'm getting old. If you have the gall to do it, we have the audacity to talk about it. All right, John.